Thank you, Mr President. I rise to speak on the Statutes Amendment, National Energy Laws, Other Gases Bill of 2023 in what will be my last speech during State Parliament's Gas Week. This bill refers to the definition of gas in our legislative instruments, as has been noted by the Honourable Heidi Girolamo. Currently, the National Gas South Australia Act of 2008 refers to natural gas throughout. Now, I have talked a bit this week, Mr President, about greenwashing that is no more evident than in the use of the term natural gas, because we know that natural gas isn't really natural. It's a non-renewable fossil fuel. The word natural has been co-opted by the gas industry to buy social licence for this polluting energy source, which mostly comprises of methane. Gas production and burning gas for energy produces greenhouse gases that are detrimental to our environment and our health and drive climate change. By clarifying the definition of gases, this bill will allow for gases such as green hydrogen to be subject to the same provisions as natural gas was previously. The Greens are supportive of green hydrogen as an alternative fuel source, and I've indicated that during the various debates we've had this week. According to the Climate Council, only green hydrogen, that is, hydrogen that is produced with renewable energy, belongs in a zero-emissions future. South Australia has sufficient renewable energy to lead a green hydrogen industry. In fact, that was the promise of the Malinauskas government at the last election. It was disappointing for us to see that what became a promise ended up being a non-core commitment when the legislation came before the Parliament. And instead what we saw was the government being agnostic on the question of whether or not they should be using green or blue hydrogen. That certainly wasn't the proposition they took to the people of South Australia. I'll be interested to know what the Premier's delivery unit says about that. However, we would like to once again put on the record that we are opposed to blue hydrogen, indeed any other colour in the hydrogen rainbow that isn't green. Blue hydrogen produced from fossil fuel is not the way forward. It locks us into a non-renewable gas future. We do note, however, that this bill includes a reference to gas blends. I should note that I'm pretty cynical about gas blends, Mr President, because it's talked about in the South Australian context being pumped into homes through the existing gas infrastructure and being used for residential use. And the environmental benefits of that are actually really negligible. I think, from memory, the best that you can hope for in terms of a gas blend is about a 20% of hydrogen with so-called natural gas. That doesn't actually deliver demonstrative environmental benefits, I'm advised. So, there is concern about a lot of emphasis being put on that at a time when really what we should be doing is focusing on transitioning households away from gas, looking at some of the approaches that have been taken in other states. Obviously, no other party supported the Greens' push to ban gas connections on new homes from 2025. There has not been support for the Greens' push to prevent developers from mandating new gas connections. But there are things that the government could do in terms of putting money on the table, as has happened in the ACT, as has happened in Victoria, to encourage homeowners to move away from gas. That would reduce their energy bills and also reduce the environmental effect. And that really is the missing piece in the puzzle here in terms of the government's approach. We do recognise that there may be some need for gas blending in industrial settings, and therefore, of course, we won't be opposing the inclusion of that in this bill. But we do want to see much more work being done to support these industries to start to move away from methane gas, and we want to see fossil fuel being eliminated. Changing the definitions for gas in the Gas Act will allow us to become a green hydrogen superpower, if this is, of course, the government's ambition, and I sincerely hope that it is. We are ready to support a green hydrogen plan if the Malinauskas government really wants us to be a leader in a zero-emissions future. We, of course, welcome any moves away from methane gas, but we want to ensure that we're not just throwing another lifeline to the fossil fuel industry and prolonging the use of gas under another name. So we'll continue to monitor this closely, Mr President, and of course I'll continue to ask questions in this place and give speeches outside of our Energy Week on this topic to ensure that we can keep the issue on the burner, so to speak. And with that, I conclude my remarks.